15th County Commissioner meeting to order at this time. I'd ask
Commissioner William Morris, if you do the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bow your heads, please. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the many blessings we receive. Please give us the strength and guidance and wisdom to do what's best for the people of Harnett County. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. If you will remain standing for the presentation of the Heroes Remembrance presentation, please.
Yeah. I want to sit and walk.
Isidro C. Aguinaga, Sergeant, First Class. Army Commendation Medal with V device. For heroism in the Republic of Vietnam on 10 April 1970, Sergeant Aguinaga distinguished himself while serving as a crewman aboard a CH-47 Lift helicopter during a suppressive munitions drop on a heavily used enemy supply route. Intelligence reports indicated heavy enemy troop and equipment concentrations in the North A. Shaw Valley, and Sergeant Aguinaga was part of a mission to interdict a major supply route. Sergeant Aguinaga repeatedly subjected himself to intense enemy fire to deliver the munitions onto the tailgate. As a result of his efforts, the supply route was successfully interdicted. Sergeant Aguinaga's personal bravery and devotion to duty were in keeping with the highest traditions of the military service and reflect great credit upon himself, his unit, and the United States Army. Air Medal with V device. For heroism while participating in aerial flight in the Republic of Vietnam on 30 April 1970. Sergeant Aguinaga distinguished himself while serving as a crewman in the 10th Chemical Platoon, direct support, during aerial flight in Quang Tri Valley, Republic of Vietnam. Being in conjunction with a combat assault upon suspected enemy positions, Sergeant Aguinaga's aircraft proceeded to one of the pre-planned targets. Despite hostile ground fire, Sergeant Aguinaga's helicopter made a low-level flight in order to be able to place an effective concentration of suppressive agents upon the enemy. When munitions started to run low, Sergeant Aguinaga's crew reloaded and returned again to the target area and again engaged the enemy force, with suppressive agents aiding to complete a successful mission. Sergeant Aguinaga's personal bravery and devotion to duty were in keeping with the highest traditions of the military service and reflect great credit upon himself, his unit, and the United States Army. Air Medal with V device, 1st Oak Leaf Cluster. For heroism while participating in aerial flight in the Republic of Vietnam on 19 June 1970, Sergeant Aguinaga distinguished himself while serving as a doorman on a UH-1H helicopter during a suppressive munitions drop in Tao Truy Province, Republic of Vietnam. Upon locating an area of high enemy concentration, it was decided to drop suppressive agents on the hostiles in the vicinity to ensure the effectiveness of aerial rocket artillery fire. Sergeant Aguinaga subjected himself to enemy fire by standing at the open door of the helicopter in order to accurately drop the munitions. Because of the success encountered on the first drop, Sergeant Aguinaga again flew to the target, making a second effective coverage of the area. His actions contributed to routing the insurgents. Sergeant Aguinaga's personal bravery and devotion to duty were in keeping with the highest traditions of the military service and reflect great credit upon himself, his unit, and the United States Army. Isidro C. Aguinaga. On May 18, 2026, your name and citation that appear on the Harnett County Wall of Heroes and will remain so forever as part of the history of Harnett County is being duly recognized for your act of heroism while serving in the United States Armed Forces. We as a county come together to commend you for your actions and dedication to our great nation. Thank you, sir. Signed, Brent Trout and Duncan E. Jaggers.
You gonna go back to elephant? Ready? Look at the camera. 3, 2, 1. One more. Look at the camera. Here we go. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Before we got to elevator. Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to item 4. We'll consider any additions or deletions to the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion, we approve the agendas as published.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. All right, we have a public comment period. At this point in time, you have to sign up before the meeting starts to speak on this particular one. Just want to remind everyone, this is a limited public meeting. When you come in here, we expect you to tell us whatever is concerning you, whatever issues you have in the county, whatever problems you have. But you're not going to stand up there and cuss us out and call us profanity names. If you do, you'll get one warning and then you will be removed. I hate to have to say that, but we have been getting a little loose with that. Okay? We actually want to hear what you got to say, but you got to do it in a way. Okay? Ted Naylor, first. Yes, sir. Come on up.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen and commissioners. I've already spoken to Mr. Morris about this little problem I thought, Bill, I had resolved, but apparently I do not. It has to do with, I live out near Nursery Road, between there and Western Harnett Schools. I'm on a road, it's 2/10 of a mile long, it's a dirt gravel road, private road, and 6 houses are on it. When back in March, I noticed a lot of underground construction going on by a lot of work crews installing an internet service. And March 26th, all of a sudden we ran slam out of water, and Harnett Regional came out and they hit my water line. It was 6.5 feet deep, and they had to dig down that deep to repair the damage. So that was no effect. But then I got April the 1st rolled around within a week, and my water meter had gotten hit. And I had a plumber come out the next day, and that cost me $600 in a plumbing bill. So I had got that, and then I've also got my $100 water bill, which is normally $25. But they adjusted it down to $60-some. I've been trying to get Windstream Kinetic, is who it is, because they got a pedestal that they brand new one set up there in my yard that shows Windstream. And I've called half a dozen times. I can't get no response. And so I think, talking to someone before when I got here this evening, I think I figured out a way to handle it, and you guys can tell me that's the best way. The smallest claims court, is that what I need to do? But that's my concern.
Are you done talking?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Trout, can you see if you can assist with making contact with, is it a cable company
Yeah.
or internet?
I didn't hear your address, sir, if you could.
Yes, it's 190 Sydney, Sydney Drive.
This is one we talked about maybe a month ago.
Yeah, it'd been a while back, I remember.
I was,
I knew the repairs were made, and I hadn't heard anything further since then.
as far as I'm concerned, Windstream, can pay Harnett Regional Water if we want to refund what he's had to pay the extra. Either that or we can get somebody else to do the internet stuff.
Well, the biggest thing is, Brent, will you follow up with him and see if you can help
Well,
coordinate this?
this was fiber optic internet stuff.
Okay.
Is what we're talking about.
All right. Mr. Trout's going to get with you and see if he can
Okay.
help you out with that.
Okay, thank you.
Did you actually, if I may, Mr. Chairman, you actually contacted their public affairs office, didn't you? Seemed like I got you and Miss Grace together and Representative Penny's office.
You told me to call the older lady that works in Raleigh. Yeah, I spoke with her, but she said I'm not in that, what's the state legislator's name over there?
Yeah.
But I'm not
Okay,
his
she wasn't able to help me.
But she was able to contact me with Joe Pike's office, which is where I live. So I've
good.
talked to him,
You have it on his list.
but I've not gotten any, still haven't got any.
All of these companies like Windstream have a corporate public relations office, and a lot of times the legislature can get to them easier than I can.
Right, well, Windstream does not have a liaison like
Okay.
Brightspeed
All
does.
right.
I think Mr. Trout can probably make
Yeah,
a,
we
I
can
think
make
he
some
can make.
contact.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get you going.
Mr. Jerry Rivas.
Yeah. Okay, my name is Jerry Rivas. I live on Twin Palms Road. Interesting fact, Mr. Sid Aguanaga, who was just up here, he's been my neighbor for 26 years. And that man is almost 90 years old. And when does his property become his property? Why does he still have to rent it from the county? But I want to pass these down. First three pictures are pictures that the county used to appraise my property. Those three pictures. And that third one is a horse in the front yard. You will notice his tail is up in the air, which is supposed to come out back into that horse. How can they tell anything from those pictures? I've always been told that my property affects my neighbor's property values. This is my next door neighbor. This is less than 100 feet away from the property line. Look at that pile of trash. That's in their front yard. That picture was taken from my front yard, those pictures. And this is less than a quarter mile up the road. This is former Commissioner Joe Miller's property. There's, on my neighbor's property, there's at least 4 unregistered vehicles. On Joe Miller's property, there's at least 10 unregistered junk vehicles. The house burned down 5 years ago. Somebody's living in a tent, dropping a deuce in an outhouse out there. And how is it that this has made my property values go up 300%? And now, Commissioner Nichols, you told me that don't worry about the property values going up, we'll just lower the levy. That's not what was discussed 2 weeks ago. So was that a lie? Or did you misspeak?
I would say I misspoke on that.
Well, I have filed an appeal, and I want those pictures back because that's going to be part of the lawsuit. Why is the onus on me to prove that Vincent Valuation is wrong? You people paid them $2 million. They've already backed off on the value of my mobile home. So in effect, they're admitting they were wrong. They were in error. And I have complained about this garbage condition to our inspections department before, and nothing is done. Before, that's Joe Miller's property right there.
No. This is his property here?
I'm sorry?
This is his property here?
Yeah, all that is Joe Miller's property at the end of Twin Ponds Road. But it's almost like this appeal process, you're making me pay for another evaluation of my property. It seems to me that's a violation of the 14th Amendment. Why is the onus on me to prove that Vincent Valuations is wrong? You've already given those clowns $2 million. Why don't they have to prove that they are right? I can't. I sent you a letter. I sent all 5 of you a letter. I got not one response. Now it's in the hands of the legal department. That's all up in the air. When am I going to hear from them? When will I hear from this, whatever that is? They won't tell me how many people have filed appeals. How many people have been successful in their appeals. That should tell you right. If there's one appeal that's successful, just one, that should tell you Vincent Valuations is wrong.
Thank you. Elizabeth Longman.
Today, Elizabeth Longman, today I just wanted to make mention in this public comment session on something that is rarely spoken about here at the County Commissioners, which is what is the experience of women in Harnett County? Women who are trying to be professionals, continue to hold their family. What is the situation for women's health care in Harnett County? You as men, majority of you up there are men, you can get any service you want for your health care in this county. Anything you want, you got it. But women have to be nickel and dimed when it comes to their health care. Birthing children, producing life is a crucial healthcare need for women. I even see it now as we hear about people having to give birth in emergency situations on the road or by a cop or somebody else other than a qualified OBGYN in a very nice birthing center type of facility. This is a critical issue. Just because you could never birth a child doesn't mean birthing a child is any less critical. We need to look at the experience of women, reproductive rights in this county. How many young women can seek reproductive health care in this county? What is it? Because any service that you men want in this county, you got. Women do not. And it's not okay. At some point, we're going to create, I hope the commissioners create a women's committee, not a women's and children's committee as currently exists. The issue of children is not the issue of women. Women are grown adults just like you are, and their considerations should be just as important, not lumped together in the women's and children's section. You have no idea what the business women in this county want. You have no idea what the people coming in who are trying to live in this county, how a woman navigates in this county. None whatsoever. You have no clue. I wouldn't even have to ask you. You have no clue, and you don't care, and you go on every day. Just consider next time, what is the experience of women when they come to Harnett County?
I have, Elizabeth,
Yes, ma'am.
have you talked to our health department director about issues affecting women?
Yes, I talk to everybody I can when it comes to issues affecting women. When a woman wants, they have the mammograms that come around every once in a while. Why don't we have a mammogram center? Why do we have an every once in a while? Men can get any prostate exam they feel like getting anytime. We have to wait for a long queue for something that comes around maybe every 3 months or so. You know, healthcare is just as critical.
I understand what you're saying, but
Yes, ma'am.
I think that you need to talk to our health department director and get some data.
Yes, ma'am.
And get some data from her and then come back before us, because I know the work that the health department does as far as women are concerned. I'm not saying you're not telling the truth or whatever. I'm just saying, bring us some factual information.
I will bring the numbers,
Thank
Commissioner
you.
McCoy. I sure will. Thank you very much.
Alan Longman.
My name's Alan Longman, 234 Hamilton Road, Bond Level. The reason why I want to talk today is because I think people need to hear from their commissioners more. I know you want to cut down the time. All right, keep it 3 minutes, but have it for an hour. You got more people in this county who wants to hear and wants to be able to speak. And your job is to listen to them, and they need more time. If not, just to get the direction or aggravation off them to what they can do. The second thing I want to talk about is the Board of Elections. I put in things to the Board of Elections, to this county Board of Elections. According to the law, it was supposed to be processed correctly. It hasn't, not either at the state level. I talked to a lawyer, and he says what is being done is illegal, including your county. There were charges brought against your chair that is specifically supposed to go to the Attorney General and has not done so. We can't have fraud or problems with the way our Board of Elections being run. The county has a responsibility, regardless the Board of Ed does not, even state, does not have the authority to override a statute, which says you have to do what you can to make sure they're fair elections. Statistically, it's not going to be here. You need more help, you need more volunteers, and you need to enforce the laws that are here, not just throw them aside. The legislature does not have the right to do what it is doing under the law. Second thing I want to talk about is that everybody's talking about the taxes. I see that there's a tax problem. Everybody had tripled their taxes. We don't have the amenities that other counties have that have high taxes. We have nothing here. We have a terrible school system. We have a terrible water system. We have high crime rate. I have people telling me all the time, I've been attacked twice to be robbed in the past year. I never had that problem living here before. All right? So everyone's scared. I can see why. You need a better police force. You need more accountability. We just had 3 officers who took us 4 years, me and my wife, to prosecute under the Attorney General's office. 4 years. And you finally, justice has been done. But there are many more complaints by the same officers that were not tried. What is the DA doing in this county? She should be prosecuting people, especially once you find out that all the things that were told you were true. You need to investigate or get rid of the DA. I believe the Constitution wants to get rid of people instead of waiting for them to end their term. The Constitution wants you to replace them beforehand. You need a way to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Eric Stevenson.
Well, I've been waiting all night for this. It's a good day in Harnett County. How y'all doing? I'm Eric Stevenson, 100 Valley Stream Road in Spring Lake, and I wanted to just say thank you to the social workers that have come out to my mother's place because she has dementia, and I just want to say thank you. They've done a great job, and I know you guys have put funding forward, for more of them. But, you rarely hear thank you these days. And I just want to say thank you to those social workers and to the social work department. Keep doing a great job. And even some of the deputies that I talk to, whether I'm over at the courthouse or out and about in the community, man, I've had some really, really good conversations. And even separately, some friends of mine have had some interactions with some of the deputies at some local restaurants. And they just have been pleasant, to talk to. So I know we hear a lot of complaints, but there are a lot of good deputies putting their life on the line for the county, and I want to say thank you, even to the ones that are here today that make sure that we have a safe environment. So thank you to those guys. Now, I would like an update on the status of the local bill that was submitted, and I'm asking the county to provide a public update on where that bill stands currently, who's carrying it forward, whether it's been assigned a bill number, what committee or legislative step it's currently in, and what is the expected timeline moving forward. Many residents are trying to understand the county's strategy, especially when it comes to growth, development, infrastructure, school capacity, and how these costs are being handled. If a local bill has been submitted, the public deserves to know the status and what comes next. Second, I want to follow up on a public comment I previously made concerning the Board of Elections chair pay increasing from $250 to $800 per month, which is ridiculous because Cumberland County, almost 3 times the size of us, their chair gets $415 and our chair is getting $800. So maybe there was a mistake to vote for him to get $800. Maybe we should revisit that. I placed my email address on a sign-in sheet, and after the county has time to research the matter, I would like respectfully a written response to my public comments concerning that. My concern is not personal. This is about transparency, public trust, and how taxpayers' dollars are being prioritized. When compensation increases by that amount, the public should be able to understand the reasoning, the comparison data used, when the decision was made, who recommended it, and how it fits into the county's overall budget priorities. Again, I'm not attacking anyone. We just believe in transparency. So today, I respectfully ask for 2 things: a public update on the status of the local bill that was submitted, and a written response to my public comments concerning the board elections chair pay increase from $250 to $800. Have a great evening.
Which local bill? Because we tried to do 3.
On the fees, have 3 been submitted?
That we sent them to our representative, but I only think one of them actually was filed.
Okay, so if that one that was filed, if I could just get some, feedback on that, just so I can see the status of it, because I plan to go to Raleigh to do my own person-to-person follow-up. I just need a good point of contact to know where it is.
The one that I know was filed was the down zoning bill. Nothing else was filed.
Okay.
On the local bill.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Ms. Rebecca Brock.
Rebecca Brock. Good evening, commissioners and staff. My comment is pertaining to the budget, not on the budget. This is not during the hearing. But I'm just, I would like to say I acknowledge the handcuffs that you are about to be placed under with the budget, with this potential moratorium coming down from the state, and that you may have to redo the budget to the tune of the 2022 property values as your base budget. And this probability is due to the Senate and House Bill 889, which intends to place this moratorium on property valuations until 2027, in order for the General Assembly to put a more permanent property valuation criteria or handcuff on the counties statewide. And I'm really ticked off that our 2 state representatives, Bergen and Penny, have been commissioners, and they know what the pressures are of running a county budget is, and they still support this moratorium, despite the fact that you all have to take care of citizens' needs, state regulations, and federal regulations. This moratorium could be strengthened through the proposed November ballot amendment by setting an increase on properties, by a set increase on property taxes or valuation that the county can levy. This combined with another proposed amendment on the November ballot to decrease personal income tax to 3.5% will serve as a straitjacket to you guys in the future. Oh, don't forget, I know you haven't because you guys are smart, that corporate income tax is sunsetting to 0 in 2030. So this is going to hurt our top 3 budget priorities, which is the schools, the police, and social services, as well as all the other departments through jobs gone, services gone, and a community culture of care, which you have consistently cultivated, is laid bare, all because the state General Assembly thinks they're better suited to manage the county budget than you. So I hope the public is aware of these handcuffs being potentially placed on you. And it just might be enough under this underhanded manipulation for some of you Republicans to potentially vote differently this fall. Thank you.
Thank you. That would conclude the public comment section. Thank you all for speaking. Thank you for the information. Moving along to the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion is second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Ms. Christina, update on tax appeals.
Good evening. Per your request, I have compiled some information regarding appeals.
Excuse me.
Technical difficulties. There we go. Okay, I got it. I'm sorry. So per your request, I've come up with a presentation for some appeals, data information that I've compiled. So the first slide here, we're just going to go over the basic information, lots of dates and times that we have to take into consideration when we have a reappraisal. The effective date of the reappraisal was January 1st, 2026. Value notices were mailed to citizens on March 13th, 2026, and an appeal deadline was set for May 8th. Per your request, we have extended that to May 22nd. And since that time, as of Friday, we have accepted 3,818 appeals for real property. This includes residential and commercial property. The value under appeal for both these categories is roughly $1.4 billion. And of these appeals, 1,344 have been reviewed or in process or have been completed. As for the personal property mobile homes, 692 appeals have been filed. The value under appeal is roughly $50 million, and 329 of those appeals have been reviewed or in process or completed. So we had an initial 8-week period extended to a 10-week, and the average number of appeals that we've accepted per day is 54 for real property and 9 for personal property per day. Our Board of Equalization and Review convened on April 13th, and they will adjourn this Friday, May 22nd. We've scheduled 12 Board of E&R meetings, and I've noted next to each month how many meetings we will conduct in that month. And the board will hear roughly between 25 and 35 cases per day and up to 200 consent order items for agreed upon values. So in the appeals, during this appeals process, we conducted 3 assistance events for citizens, one on April 23rd, May 4th, and another one will be tomorrow evening at 5 o'clock downstairs in the RCL. Citizens can get one-on-one assistance reviewing their property data. They can get step-by-step help filling out the appeal form, and they can ask questions and receive other information from our staff concerning tax relief, present use value, and other tax questions. And citizens may bring their supporting documentation with them tomorrow night if they would like, and we'll go ahead and attach it to that appeal form and submit it, and it will go into our system. As far as what that supporting documentation looks like, it could be photos of the interior and exterior of the home, as some properties are not easily accessible. Comparable sales of similar properties sold between 2024 and 2025. And you can submit a recent fee appraisal completed in connection with a recent sale or refinance of the property. We also accept professional estimates for structural damage or repairs that are needed, such as extensive termite damage, mold, mildew, floor joist repairs, and so forth. And citizens who are unable to attend tomorrow night, as we learned from this session, is that we are open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and we will accept those appeals during the day as well through email and online. And while I have an audience, I will again talk about tax relief programs for our citizens and what the state offers for our senior citizens over age 65 who have an income less than $38,800 and reside in their own home as their primary residence. They can receive up to 50% off their tax bill. The same applies for disabled persons and for our disabled veterans who are honorably fully discharged with 100% permanent and total service-connected disability who own and reside in their home may also qualify for $45,000 excluded from their value. All these applications are due June 1st, and they are available online in our office, in the hallway, outside our office, and we are happy to answer any questions should citizens have concerns about these programs. And there will be someone available tomorrow night at the tax assistance event downstairs to answer questions regarding these programs as well. Do you have any questions?
I have just one or two maybe.
Yes, sir.
On appeals, if my property, if I have not taken care of my property and it is not in good condition, I don't have to show you comps to get the appeal. I can show you the condition of my home, correct?
That is correct, yes.
So the condition of the home is also a reason to appeal if you feel like. My question would be, I was just clarifying that, but the comps that are used, you have no idea what condition they're really in on either, do you?
On the inside, no, sir.
Okay.
No different than
But
your
you're
own
going
home.
based on that they're in good condition, and that's how you come with the value. They came, not you, but they came with the values of the comps. So I just wanted to point out that the condition of the home makes a big difference also.
Yes,
where
it
we
can.
might have the same square footage, but you took care of yours and I didn't take care of mine. But the other thing is, as Mr. Rivas was showing us pictures of adjoining property, if I show you, I have 4 chicken houses right beside my property within 300 or 400 feet, I don't know what the actual distance has to be, but is that something that I can use to try to tell you that my property is not worth the market value because I have chicken houses?
We can take that into
You see what I'm
consideration.
saying? I mean, I'm just asking
Yeah,
while we're on a public forum kind of thing.
If a citizen feels that that's detrimental to their value, they can submit that information to us and we can review it. Absolutely.
Okay.
We don't turn down any information.
No, I understand. I just wanted
The more the better.
I just wanted to ask you that question out openly that way, so people could hear the response and answer.
That's great. Thank you.
Anybody have anything further?
What did you just say that was an allowance for the senior citizens of 50%?
Yes, senior citizens can receive up to 50% off of their value.
When did that start?
In the 70s, I believe, 68 or 72, somewhere in there.
Income.
Based on income also, right?
Sir?
Based on income
Yes, it's
also.
based on income. Senior
Oh.
citizen and disabled persons,
So
that's
it's
based on income. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Yes,
I've never
ma'am.
been told based on income. That's I'm asking that question.
Anybody? Anything else? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Moving on to action items, just item A, discuss and consider a request to apply for and accept if awarded a digital inclusion round 2 grant from Mid-Carolina. Ms. Kimberly.
Good evening, Commissioners. Harnett County Public Library comes before you today to request permission to accept a Mid-Carolina Round 2 Digital Inclusion Grant Award in the amount of $18,000. There is no county match required for this grant. The grant funds will support the purchase of lendable hotspot devices to expand digital access opportunities across all 8 library locations, and will provide funding to support that hotspot service for 1 year. The board may recall that I had previously come before you to approve the application for this grant opportunity. The original proposal was for Tony digital devices, and the foundation ultimately decided not to award their grant for those devices, and so we are trying again with lendable hotspot devices. They did approve funding for that alternative digital inclusion resource, and so as a result, the only modification to the previously approved application is the change in device allocation from Tony devices to lendable hotspot devices. No other aspects of the grant have changed. Is there any questions?
Motion to approve.
Motion to second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. This item B, discuss and consider a request to apply for and accept if awarded a North Carolina Railroad grant. Barrington? Oh, got a transplant.
We do. I'm here for Stephen. He is with his high school senior, watching her play in the third round of the state playoffs for soccer. So more than happy to be here for him so he can be there with her.
Mr. Chairman. One minute.
Sure.
All right, go ahead. Thank you.
Yes, we are requesting in the Economic Development Office your approval for a grant application and an award if accepted for $500,000 through the North Carolina Railroad Build Ready Site Program. The grant funds would be used to clear and grade a 60-foot public right-of-way off of East McNeil Street in Lillington to serve an 83-acre industrial rail site. There is a 20% match requirement with this, so the grant request would be up to, if we were fully awarded, $125,000 for the project. This easement would allow us to proactively market that 83 acres for industrial rail projects. Currently, there is no access to it, and we've worked with the town of Lillington, doing a lot of due diligence on the site. It is part of the larger bird track that we're currently marketing on the other side of the rail that fronts Highway 401. There's 93 acres, and then a smaller section, about 45 acres. I think the matching funds have been identified in money already allocated.
We have money in our Economic Development Fund, the same fund that's being used for our Samet project. We had a little over $400,000 that is not committed to the Samet project, that we could use that fund for this $125,000.
Okay. Answered what I wanted to know, Mr. Chairman.
Say it again.
I said that answered what I wanted to know.
Okay.
Can we use that money? That's what you're saying?
Yes.
Will I make a motion we use that money?
Second. Motion is second. Any further discussion?
Anything to bring jobs here.
Thank you.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Item C, discuss and consider a request to modify project funding from APP to chat box. Ms. Desiree?
Good afternoon. Well, good evening now. So I am coming before you today because in our current budget right now in the fiscal year, administration initially allocated $10,000 for a mobile application. Following a direction from our county managers, Chief Information Officer Ira, and myself, we performed some research with other counties and municipalities, and we came to the conclusion that based off the feedback from those local government entities, that they experience low adoption rate and limited long-term usage because residents did not want to download another application on their phones. And also with our website is already mobile friendly, so we determined that an application or a mobile app would not be the most effective. Instead, we identified a more impactful solution would be to implement a website chatbot to improve customer service and operational efficiency. County departments receive a significant number of web inquiries on our website, and in 2025, we averaged about 13 web inquiries per day, and we had a little less than 5,000 web inquiries for the entire year of 2025. So each of the departments manages their own inquiries through the website. If you've ever been on harnett.org, there is an email button at the bottom, and those go directly to the departments. Introducing a website chat box will alleviate the need for staff to respond to those general or routine questions. And I do want to put an asterisk there on the routine and general questions. And it will save staff a lot of time. The chatbot will also allow people to receive immediate responses and reduce It will also provide residents with access to information 24/7. So even in the hours where we are closed or it's a weekend or a holiday, they can still utilize a chatbot on the website that will answer the routine or general questions that they have. The chat box will also allow multi-language translation, so it will respond in a language that that individual puts into the chat bot. I also will bring up Ira, and we have a rep here with the company that we chose. We did 3 interviews with 3 different companies, and we chose Polymorphic. There are other local government entities who currently utilize the chatbots. So Cumberland County uses it, Holly Springs, Apex Parks and Recreation, Durham County, Union County, and there are so many more. Polymorphic will give us a prorated rate to start this fiscal year, and that amount is $1,083, and then starting in the next fiscal, it will be $13,000 to continue, and it will be paid out of the information technology budget.
Just to go over just a few technical things. I don't want to get too bogged down in this. This could go in 100 different directions, but moving to an AI chatbot on our website will allow our residents to engage with county information from any device that they're on, not just a phone app or a tablet app, but any computer or anything that they're using. It will also pull information from all of our websites, so not just harnett.org or HRW or library or sheriff. It pulls all the information and puts all that together for people to search. So if you're on harnett.org and you're looking for some information on HRW's website, it'll still pull that information across that. It allows users to ask questions in a natural way and not just keywords. And it, just like any AI, it answers those questions that are asked with county-specific information, not just general information it's pulling from the web. It will also allow us to build more adequate responses to questions. So as questions are being asked, we can see that data on the back end, and we can say, well, that response wasn't what Harnett County would like to say as a whole. And we can start feeding this chatbot information that would bring clearer, more concise answers to the people that answer those questions or ask those questions. And moving forward with an AI chatbot like this, Polymorphic in this case, is just a soft step for our residents to engage with AI. It's not forcing them to use it. It's just a side option over to the side. You can ask the questions. If you don't want to use it, you still have the same search options and the same just browsing options on our websites that we currently have. So there's no absolute you have to start using AI to use this stuff. As Desiree mentioned, we reviewed 3 providers. Polymorphic uses OpenAI, which is ChatGPT, for their large language model, but they use it in a fenced-in playground. So they actually only take data from our public sources on our websites. It won't reach out to third-party websites. So you've heard the term probably hallucinations, where it starts bringing in some weird stuff that doesn't make any sense. It should just pull data that's directly off of ours and nothing that doesn't correlate back to Harnett County. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I could delve deeper if you would like to, but I just wanted to kind of give you a brief overview and make sure you guys understood what this is going to provide for us.
And if you guys have questions, Mo is here from Polymorphic.
Yeah.
I'm a resident here, so I'm not too far.
Yeah. Any questions?
Will you guys be able to generate a report?
Yeah, this will actually give us some more reporting capabilities than what we currently have. It'll allow us to see what people are asking, like I said, and then we can actually feed that back through. Of course, we're not forcing them to engage with it yet, so some of that will be somewhat limited, but yeah, definitely some more options there.
So you're needing us to approve you changing it from app to chat box?
Yeah, we're just asking for you to understand that we're changing that budget line from an app to a chatbot. Yes, correct.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve this request to modify project funding from the app to the chat box.
Second. Motion is second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Review applications, boards, committees. I think we have, well, I know the first one is Public Library Board of Trustees. There's a vacancy in District 2. I think you have 2 applications for that.
We do, and they're going to mine, if I believe so. And I was trying to remember the last appointment we made, what area of the county they were from.
Well, there's only 1 position available. You got 2 from District 2.
Yeah, I got 1 from Irwin, 1 from Anderson Creek.
Do we have the makeup of that board right now?
I have to pull that.
All right,
Can we wait 1 more meeting?
Okay.
What applicant for?
I tell you what I'm gonna do, Mr. Chairman. I'm gonna recommend Mr. Whitman from Anderson Creek.
Second.
Okay. Motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. All right. Moving on. Financial quarterly update. Ms. Kimberly.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners of the Board. What you have before you, I've put at your places before the meeting started, is the quarterly reporting that I typically do. This is the scaled down version that I give to you. I do not have anything to put on the overhead tonight. So that way, if there's any questions, I need to clarify or update any information per our discussion, then I can get that changed. But once I'm done with this evening, this will appear on the county's open government website. I also, just a summary to talk about those pages that I put there before you, and those are for the general fund, Harnett Regional Water, and solid waste. The focus of my discussion tonight will center around the general fund. I provided for you a little handout that I just kind of do a summary comparison just for the general fund. So for the quarter ended March 30th of this year, the actual revenues that have been attributed for the general fund are $139,762,193 compared to $135,067,553. I do not know why my mouth will not work in front of this microphone. So anyway, just to kind of bring you up to date, the tax rate that we use to calculate our budget each fiscal year is based upon the audited financials of the prior year. So for the fiscal year ending 2025, the audited collection rate was 99.32, and statutorily that is the max of the current year calculate levies that we can budget. Our cash balance for March 30th, ending March 30th, 2026 was just over $90 million compared to $99 million last year at the same time. And if you would, on the second page, I want to kind of go over one of the items tonight that I wanted to talk about. And basically what I've done is I've actually taken our activity through this third quarter, and then I've gone in and looked at our revenues for the remaining year, projected those out, as well as projecting out some of our expenditures. And our main sources, we're still looking at some ad valorem real property collections, and I have estimated an additional $1.2 million, just over that, collected, because as you know, the taxes were due in January, and right now I think Christina and her department are having some that are continue to come in, but based upon the collections for that final quarter each year, that's about what we can look of our levy to continue collecting. For DMV, we still have yet to collect March through June. As you know, those reports are behind. So I've approximated another $2.8 million. For sales tax, we are looking for the months March through June. I have approximated another $10.5 million. And then for our restricted revenue and service fees, I'm looking at about another $18.4. And just to kind of take a step back on the expenditures, I know some of the expenditures have gone down as well as some of the revenues, but that is where we are seeing the downturn of a lot of grants that we had received coming out of COVID. And then also because of the federal shutdown and then part of the DOGE, we have some of our revenues and our grant programs that were no longer funded. But those department heads have been able to mitigate any of that cost to the county. So just want to kind of put that in there. And I did go in and kind of evaluate some of those programs and try to give you a conservative estimate of what I think we'll see as far as revenues with those remaining grant funds, which brings a total projected resource of just over $33 million. For the uses between now and the end of the fiscal year, I have calculated 2.5 months of salaries and fringes, and that's at $18.8 million. And because we pay from the 16th through the 15th of each month, when we close June 30th, we will actually have 2 more weeks of salaries to accrue back to this budget. As far as operating, I calculated about 90% of our remaining general fund budget, which comes out to $8.1 million that we will left to spend. There are currently still encumbrances and contracts left to be fulfilled, so that represents most of that, and as well as our utilities that we pay for our light bills, gas, and things like that. In addition, we were informed that we will have to pay the additional $5.5 million for that low wealth for this year. We received that number, so that those funds have already been dispersed as of the time. So what we're looking at now is projected sources and expenditures. When you net those together, we're looking at a positive of $602,698. Just for comparison's sake, when we closed our fiscal year, our calculated unassigned fund balance was just over $42 million, which represented our unassigned fund balance percentage at 21.26%. As of this calculation today, we're looking at a restated unassigned fund balance of $37.4 million, which, if we were to close our year today, we would actually be looking at just around 18.91% unassigned fund balance. When I take into consideration the projection of the sources and uses and our anticipated activity through the end of the year, I am projecting that our unassigned fund balance would be around $38 million, and then our unassigned percentage at just around 19.21%. So, and then when we look at solid waste and Harnett Regional Water, they are still remain very strong. You can see some uses of that revenue. There was a revenue stream, and I have notated that in my presentation of this written piece, that Harnett Regional, we had an issue with the recording of some of their water and service fees, and then there was a turnover, staff turnover. So we have gotten all of that corrected, and so you will see those numbers come back up when we start back with our monthly reports. But all in all, Harnett Regional still remains strong, as well as solid waste. And if you look at those numbers, when you compare current year to last year at the same time, there's going to be some large skews in there, and that's why I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but a lot of that are as the result of year-end posting entries, and those are entries that are done at the end of the year when we got our audit, and we had to post those books back. So that's for capital offset, but that's just a reclassification. Has nothing to do with the performance of those 2 units themselves. So I know this is fast, but I did want to just put out in front of you the final quarter projected expenditures. So is this format, is it kind of changing a little bit each time, kind of see what you like. So any questions?
Any questions? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Item 10, the 26-27 budget discussion that we're supposed to have before this hearing. I think that's on you now, Mr. Brent.
Well, I'm going to let Lisa, she has it all laid out for you. I'll let her start, and I'll chime in as we go.
All right.
All right. So tonight we're going to go through the key updates to the recommended budget, follow-up items from our last meeting, and the 3 different funding options we've prepared based on the board's direction. Since the recommended budget was submitted, we've made a few technical corrections. In the general fund, we've made adjustments within the insurance lines, upgraded software cost and administration and DSS, and an increase for part-time emergency services staffing. For the enterprise side, for Harnett Regional Water, we've made a few changes that include increased capital outlay and software maintenance with reductions in repairs at maintenance lines. And at this point, we've not made any changes to solid waste. The updated totals for the recommended budget in the general fund is $215.2 million, and in Harnett Regional Water is $53.6 million. Solid waste remains the same at $9.9 million. During our last work session, we had direction from the board on 2 items. First was increasing expansion funding for Harnett County Schools by $3.5 million, bringing the total expansion allocation to $5.5 million. We have reflected that increase in all three options that you'll see tonight. Second, the board expressed interest in possibly establishing a nonprofit funding allocation between $100,000 and $200,000. And additionally, we're recommending two staffing-related items, and one is a reclassification of the telecommunication manager in our 911 center, and that's based on the compensation study, and a new environmental health specialist position to help with inspection backlog. That position will generate enough revenue to cover its own cost. One item that we don't have listed that was discussed last week was a weapons detection system in all county buildings, and we're currently getting a quote for that. We have developed three possible funding options. All three options accomplishes the board's main goal, which is to fund an additional $3.5 million for Harnett County Schools. Based on where the county currently stands with the number of appeals, each option also includes a revenue adjustment from lowering the appeals rate from 8% to 6%, which will generate an additional $2.3 million in revenues. From there, the options differ mainly in how much nonprofit funding is included, how much we reduce contingency, how much we cut into departmental expansion requests, and whether we reduce long-term school capital funding. So option one focuses on keeping the school capital funding the same while maximizing nonprofit funding. Under this option, nonprofits receive $200,000, which is the highest level of the three choices. There are no reductions in long-term capital transfers, and the amount set aside remains the same at an additional $6 million. The trade-off is that option one requires the largest cuts to departmental expansions. This option removes almost all of the county expansion requests except for the new positions and reclassifications. That includes reductions to public safety technology, quality of life services like the libraries and parks, and reductions to contingency. This option also reduces the rescue squad allocation from 10% to 8%, and it does keep the fund balance just a little over $200. Option one accomplishes the school expansions goal, but provides the highest level of nonprofit funding, but it does so by requiring the greatest cuts to the county departmental expansions. Option two reduces nonprofit funding to $100,000. Just like option one, it keeps future school construction funding at $6 million. There are no reductions to that amount. Instead, this option uses the largest contingency cut of the three options at $675,000 and makes moderate reductions to public safety and quality of life services. This option does not reduce the rescue squad allocations. Fund balance is just slightly higher than option one at just over $4,000. Option two keeps more county departmental services than option one, but relies more heavily on the contingency reductions and supports nonprofits at half the level of option one. This option does not reduce allocations to the rescue squads, and it keeps the long-term school construction funding while using more fund balance. Option three takes a different approach. It protects more county departmental services by making the smallest cuts across the board. To do that, it reduces the money set aside for future school construction by $800,000, lowering the transfer from $6 million to $5.2 million. Nonprofit funding remains the same at $100,000, and this option makes no cuts at all to the contingency. It has the smallest public safety and quality of life reductions of any option, and it keeps fund balance usage to about $1,600. Option three is best suited if the board wishes to protect departmental services with a trade-off of reducing long-term school capital funding. So to begin the discussion, there are three main decisions for the board. What level of nonprofit funding do you wish to support this year? Second, what should we prioritize, departmental services, contingency reserves, or long-term school capital planning? And third, how much would you like to distribute the reductions through operational cuts, contingency reductions, or adjustments to capital funding? You also have a copy of the overview of the 3 funding options as well as the list of possible reductions. So if this is something that you would like to discuss now, we can do that.
The low wealth money, that $5.5 million, so we know what the low wealth number tax rate has to be?
No, it's a calculation that's always, the low wealth comes like 2 years after we set that tax rate.
That's kind of not fair, I'm just telling you.
Correct.
Okay.
But we have a little over 4 million set aside in this budget for
Yes.
low wealth funding reimbursement if needed by the school system.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If our tax rate would have been 1 cent higher the last 2 years, we would have not lost that 5.5 million, right?
Yes, that was our calculations.
Why would we not set our tax rate at a level that we would, I mean, our tax rate right now, if we go back to the old appraisal,
Right. What
is 1 point,
the short answer is that when the formula is redone each year, our 59.1 may, which is part of the reason that we're only looking at 4 million, a little over 4 million this year, is that tax rate that we currently have, along with the other factors that are in that formula, have given us more money back because it's saying the county has put additional money in. So you take the money that we put in 2 years ago and then the money we put in last year, that changed the formula as well because we're contributing to the funding of the school, which the whole reason the state pulls back the money from us is because they say the county's not doing everything they could do based on their levy rate and other factors. So that's why we're looking better this year, and I think given what we put in last year to the school system, I think we'll look better as well. So there's the levy rate is a big factor, but it is not the only factor in their calculation.
well, the $5.5 million is a lot of money that the expansion request without cutting anything would be there if we don't have to pay the 5.5 million.
Understood.
So, and we're having a conversation right now that's going to change in the next 2 weeks. And so we're kind of.
Everything is going to change.
I mean, we're going to have, I mean, how do we, I know we're having this tonight and we're having the budget hearing tonight, but we're kind of.
Yes, we could be under a set of different rules 2 weeks from now, correct?
But I think one of the main things is we want to make sure that we're giving the schools the additional 3.5 million. So how we get there, I guess, is based on one of the 3 options for tonight. And then we can look at additional adjustments later on.
2.3 of that 3.5 by additional revenue that was found based on the appeals rate that we're currently seeing with one more week versus with appeals. So we feel comfortable going from 8 to 6 at this point in the process. So that serves us. So now it's really about finding another 1.3 million. And we look at basic options that we look at is we're given 6 million towards the funding of the debt service fund. We could take from there. We have a contingency of $1 million that we could reduce that contingency and say 500. And that's basically for things unforeseen within the budget. We could take that contingency level. The other thing is we have some expenditures that are in the expansion request, and we can reduce those expenditures and get money from that can be provided to the school. So it's really figuring out what's the right mix of each of those 3 things in order to get us that little additional 1.2.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I can appreciate the work that the staff has put into this, but it sounds like what you're telling me is until we know what this legislative bill is going to do, we just what if and this to death.
Well, it is a little bit of that, but it's kind of like that every year still. We know what our expenditures are needed for this year, and so that's the given part. And it would change. We would have to raise the levy in order to have the funding needed based on that moratorium bill that would set aside the reval. And we don't know for sure what our value will be, so therefore it's hard to set a levy amount. So you're right, we are kind of shooting in the dark when it comes to how is our revenue going to look, what's our revenue going to look like. But the good news is, ultimately, is there are ways that we can cover the 5.5 million for the school district without taxing us too far with where we're set up. So I feel comfortable that there's a clear way for us to make this happen without really jeopardizing a lot within the budget. So I know that Chairman and I have talked about the need to make sure we look at our drone systems. We can leave the drones in there and make the change in a different spot. So if there are potential expansion requests that you would like to see move forward, instead of being cut, then we go the other option.
Well, I personally, go ahead.
I'm just only interested in cutting some of the funding that we have to pay for employees. No, we're not gonna have to increase in insurance, healthcare insurance this year, or do you think we will have one?
No, we have an increase.
We have an increase. So there's no proposal to cut any of that, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, now explain to me exactly what this nonprofit funding is. When
So-
you have the nonprofit funding, what are you talking about?
Okay.
Explain it to me very
So
clearly.
nonprofit, so back when we opened the discussion about nonprofit funding, a little over a year ago, back last budget cycle, we developed a program, a new set of bylaws and instructions for a nonprofit committee. So that if the board, through the budget process, decided to set aside money that could be utilized for nonprofits, we had a system established, and that is still already created and approved by the board. So if the board were to decide to put money towards nonprofits, that procedure would then put in place where nonprofits would be able to make application to the county for funding. And then that board that's established, that committee that's established, would then review those applications and make decisions as to which of those nonprofits would receive funding.
So this is basically wish list.
Well, it would be what programs do we feel are the most
I don't
important
think we
for the
have
county.
ever discussed any logistics for this, for the nonprofit. So you're telling me something that has never been discussed with me.
Well, the nonprofit funding was discussed over a year ago,
We
and
discussed the nonprofit funding. I agree 100%, something I've been pursuing for a long time. But we discussed nothing about the funding in the nonprofit. So you're saying that you have put funding there for this?
that was the proposal, and that's what we have included
Oh, you
within
have
this
it included in
option.
here?
Yes.
Oh, that's what I want to know. I want to be very clear what we're talking about here, because none of that has been
Right.
discussed to me.
But ultimately, the board would need to decide, sorry.
So when we do discuss it, this is what we would be discussing. I don't think this is the right way to do this, Pete. I'm gonna be very honest with you. I don't think it's right the way you did it. I approve of it, but I don't think it was right the way you did it, to be honest with you. So, as long as you're not cutting, we don't know right now what we're gonna do, simply because we don't know what the legislature's gonna do.
I guess,
This is
you know,
just
the
something
key that I
just
think which
throwing
the
it out,
chairman was
just throwing
trying to
it
put
out there.
through is a decision tonight probably is something that the board could do, but it would be a waste of effort, potentially, is kind of what you were saying, sir?
Yeah, I think that I want to fund as much as we can, but we don't know yet what we can fund. We don't know which appraised values we're going to buy. We don't know what the levy rate would need to be. I mean, we know what the levy rate would need to be if their current appraisal, and we have an idea of what it would have to go to if we have the old appraisal, but we don't know which way we're going. So it's kind of hard to debate which options to look at until we know which version of a budget we're going to have.
Understood. But I think we've met the charge that you gave us last week, so everybody can feel that if that does not get passed by the General Assembly, we have what we need in front of us in order to be able to move forward and complete a budget. And some of this will be usable if our procedure ends up changing with regards to what we have, because we've delved into what the pieces are that are involved in order to complete our budget.
But I agree with I don't agree with the way you have formulated this at all, but it is what it is, because we don't know if we're gonna have to raise the levy or not. And more than likely, well, if what the legislature is proposing, we probably will have to. So we just might as well say what it is and accept. This right here is just a wish list to me.
And I don't know if you can get this information or not, but on the nonprofit funding, you know, the option of 1 or 2, 200, 100 or whatever, do you have any idea the nonprofit request before? Because I was never on the board when they did.
The last time I recall, Coley's not here, but the last time that it was done, it was about 66,000, I think, was the number. 67,000 was what was provided for nonprofits at that time. So I think in today's dollars, 100,000 is probably about the same.
Yeah. Probably would take at least $100,000 more than that. And then probably wouldn't take all of that. Nonprofits, that's what we're gonna, that's the direction that we're gonna be going in. But we don't know if we're gonna be able to go in that direction.
We don't know anything yet.
But with the legislature,
Man, push it another year or something.
we're making a wish list, that's the way I see it.
Anything further in this part right now?
Oh, I do have a couple of,
Yes,
just a
ma'am.
couple more directions in case y'all want to go ahead and do this, or if you want to
Okay.
hold off. The recommended fees, did y'all have any concerns with what was presented?
I'm good with the recommendations.
That way we can start moving forward on some of
I think
those.
Nobody has any opposition to those. So.
And what about any of the recommended positions or reclassifications?
No, and I don't know about nobody else, so I don't. I mean, because that's something I don't want to touch unless we have to.
Okay. And so the board was okay if we add the additional reclassification for the telecommunication manager and the additional environmental health specialist?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so after the public hearing tonight, we'll schedule another work session for June 1st and June 9th. Currently, our budget approval is scheduled for June 15th, but we do have time towards the end of the month if we have to push that out another week, depending on what the state decides and what we need to do to get our calculations correct.
How long a notice do you have to do to have another public hearing?
Chris, how long do we have to have notice for the next public hearing? If 10 days.
I think you need to.
Yeah. He said he'll confirm that just to make sure.
We need to get that, go ahead and schedule for another public hearing because everything I'm getting is that they're going to pass this thing.
It won't hurt anything. It's always just another opportunity for people as we nail down the budget to make their final comments regarding what we've nailed down as what's going to be considered for approval.
Why don't you go ahead and schedule both of them to meet the statutory requirements? If we don't need them, we don't have to use them.
That's what I'm saying. I think we need to go ahead and schedule the next public hearing.
So you want it the week after June 15th, or do you want to have it on June 15th?
I would say to June 15th.
Okay.
Because if we needed to, if we wanted to, we could pass a budget after the 15th, on the 15th if we decided to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Any other questions, discussion? Okay.
Thank you. All right. Now's the time we're going to have a public hearing on the Harnett County budget for 26-27. Each speaker can have up to 5 minutes, and you can only speak once, and understand that what you're speaking about tonight might not be the one that's actually voted on. So if you wish to speak, come on up to I will open the meeting, and you come on up to the podium.
Yes, my name is Jerry Rivas. I live at 364 Twin Ponds Road. One of the things that's been going around on social media as part of the nonprofit funding, people have been saying there's like a $240,000 request for a bookmobile. Just how far behind the times are we for a bookmobile? These kids don't want books, they want a cell phone and a charger. And I think with everybody being asked to tighten our belts, since 2022, between 2022 and 2026, the current rate of inflation is calculated somewhere between 25 and 26.5%. The last 3 months, the rate of inflation is almost 20%, just in the last 3 months. Why can't you let us decide what charity to give our money to instead of you giving it away? 3 jailers in the jail just got fired for brutality. That's yet another lawsuit that's going to be coming down the pike. Deputy Kevin Joseph Letarte, who got away 1 year ago today with killing 2 people, will get his driver's license reinstated tomorrow and will be back out on the road. And you have a deputy here tonight. Captain Klingman was one of the 3 deputies that cost this county a $6 million lawsuit. And he's still a deputy? Wayne Coates and his infinite wisdom made this guy a captain? Come on, there's a lot of problems in this county. A lot of things need to be worked on besides giving away the taxpayers' money. With this reevaluation, you added $8 billion to the tax base. I think that was done intentionally just to raise the debt ceiling. That way my grandkids and my great-grandkids can be in debt, not just us. You people got to do better for the services you provide to the citizens of Harnett County. And somebody, please give Miss Wallace these pictures of my next door neighbor and a man just not even a quarter mile down the road of all this trash that for years I've complained to your zoning department and nothing has ever been done. And yet, what good is a 50% discount for a disabled senior citizen when my tax valuation goes up 300%? I'm not getting a 50% discount. It's going to cost me more than it did last January. A lot more. Quit playing fast and loose with the numbers. Stop lying to us. Start listening to the people. Serve the people. You got 3 deputies out here because I'm such a loudmouth ass that you guys are scared of me. Well, I tell you what, I'm glad. Because when the people fear the government, that's tyranny. When the government and their lackeys fear the people, that's liberty. And I will leave these here so she feels safe and she can come up and get them. Have a wonderful evening. For you, Clayman.
Have a good evening, Mr. Bridges. Next.
Rebecca Brock, talking about the budget. Richard and I have gone through the budget pretty carefully, and we have done that over the years. We've asked questions of Lisa. She's given us answers. And I think you all have done a really good job of getting your departments to submit what they need and their ideas and what their budget reflects. So I think you operate on a very lean budget. There's not a lot of fat here in Harnett County, and I wish you luck. Commissioner Matthews with $3.5 million when you asked for $9 million for the schools, which they have a tough job. Also, I hate to see the drones go away for law enforcement as well. Anyway, the nonprofit, I agree with Ms. Barbara McCoy. We haven't heard anything about it since last year, so we don't know any processes or policies or procedures that you're going to use to distribute the funds. So would like to hear about those. And good luck with this next budget update.
Thank you.
Elizabeth Longman, here tonight as a concerned resident and taxpayer of Harnett County. I've reviewed the proposed 2026 to 2027 county budget, and one thing stands out clearly. Law enforcement continues to receive the largest share of county funding. In fact, I think the discrepancy between education and the sheriff's department is 10%. That is a huge discrepancy, and really showing how you are not prioritizing our schools. Meanwhile, many residents are struggling with rising housing costs, failing infrastructure, mental health crises, overcrowded schools, and limited resources. I want to be clear. This is not an attack on every deputy or detention officer who puts on a uniform and goes to work honestly every day. Many of them are hard-working public servants, but taxpayers have a responsibility to ask the difficult questions. What are we getting in return for this enormous investment? Because over the past fiscal year, our county has continued to experience serious controversies surrounding the sheriff's office and detention center. We have seen deaths connected to the jail system. We have seen deputy-involved shootings and the lawsuits that ensue. We have seen lawsuits growing public concern. These events are not normal, and they should not be brushed aside just as part of the job. When an agency receives the largest portion of taxpayer dollars, the public should expect professionalism, transparency, accountability, and strong leadership. Instead, many residents see insustainability, poor communication, weak oversight, and repeated incidents that damage the public trust. At some point, we have to stop measuring success simply by how much money is spent. Bigger budgets do not automatically create safer communities. More funding without reform simply creates larger systems with the same problems. If deputies are making poor decisions in the field, then we need to ask whether training standards are adequate. If detention facilities continue to experience deaths or serious incidents, then we need to ask whether leadership inside that jail is effective. If morale is poor, turnover is high, and lawsuits continue, then we need to ask whether the management at the top is failing both employees and citizens. Throwing more money into a department without demanding measurable improvement is not fiscal responsibility. It is avoidance. Our county deserves a sheriff's office that is respected because it is well-led, well-trained, and trusted by the public, not simply because it is the most heavily funded department in the county budget. Imagine what even a small percentage of those funds could do if it was invested into prevention instead of reaction. Those investments reduce crime before it starts. They create stability, they create opportunity, and ultimately, they reduce the burden on law enforcement itself. Public safety is not measured only by arrests or patrol vehicles. Public safety is measured by whether citizens feel safe, respected, and heard. It is measured by whether families trust the institutions that are supposed to serve them. Tonight, I urge this board to stop treating the sheriff's budget as untouchable. Oversight is not anti-law enforcement. Accountability is not anti-law enforcement. Demanding better leadership and better training is actually supporting the deputies and detention officers who deserve the competent management and professional workplace. Reggie Watson would do this as sheriff. As a military veteran and community-focused leader, he understands accountability, professionalism, and responsible use of taxpayer funds. The people of Harnett County deserve transparency about how this money is spent. honest discussion about the failures we have witnessed, and a clear plan for improving leadership, training, and public trust before additional funding is handed over without conditions. Taxpayers are paying attention now, and the public deserves better than excuses. Thank you.
Next.
My name is Alan Longman. I want to talk about improving the government end of it so you're more efficient and effective. I don't see efficient and effectiveness in this government or on the county level. You have homes that are being, let's face it, if I can't get the money for that home, you can't charge me taxes on money I can't obtain. My taxes went down, my value of my home went down, and yet, geez, I have to pay more taxes. The point is, I can see the change in the tax rate, but I can't see the change in the value of the home as being anything but fraudulent. I think I mentioned that before. I think the people in this county should be able to put up a vote to see what rate they should have or endure for what they get at some point. Because the decisions being made out now, I don't think are going to be holding in the future. I think you're going to be making readjustments all the way down. And it has to be a more permanent or a more justified solution over a longer term period in mind. We talked about we keep talking about the Sheriff's Department, but it's not the Sheriff's Department alone. We found out that lots of people are not being processed right. They have systems, they move people around, they're not processed right according to the law. And that's costing you money, costing you time. The more people are being loaded into jails, the more it's going to cost you. Do we see anything happening as far as crime rate going down? Not really. I don't see it. I see crime all over the place. I didn't see it before. So I'm curious of what are you expecting out of your community in the future? As the economy gets worse, you're going to have more of a problem, more expenses and higher insurance costs. The Great Beautiful Bill took away your power and therefore took away our power. You know, you're supposed to represent us, and I know it must be frustrating that your hands are tied. You have a commission and group that for the whole state, they need to get together and maybe make a decision to either sue the legislature because you're supposed to be performing your duty for the people as a group to end this with the legislature so they don't take up power and control as they do. I don't think it's legal. I think it needs to be challenged, but no one wants to do that. Me and my wife are getting tired of having to challenge everything. All right, we want better accountability in our legal system here. Your courts are expensive. You have a Suzanne Matthews who owes her job to the people, law enforcement, because she probably could have never gotten that position other than someone putting her there. And she owes too much. That's my opinion, and I state it because I don't see anything being done for accountability on any level that you have going on in the court system. You should be prosecuting, get rid of the garbage that's causing you money, and liability is still there. I see Ira here. Do you know what happened to Ira? Ira was sitting here, head of IT, and changed the information on 2 cases, including Angela Scarsborough and us. And I think the state was investigating in the Sheriff's Department and information being changed, yet he still controls your IT. There needs to be an investigation on going on how your information is handled at the court level and at the camera level, whether or not they're being sequenced. I believe one of the discussions that we found wrong was they had to be sequenced. Can you play with data like that? Why is it done? I thought we were beyond that in technology. These are the things you got to clean up. I want a better legal department, a better assessment. I want the state to come in and, even if it needs to be, do an investigation and get rid of the riffraff so you don't have to constantly trip over it in the future. You're going to be paying prices in the future, and it's going to continue. You need a structural change. a different way of looking at things, because the world that you had before is not the world you're going to be dealing with in the future. Thank you.
Good evening, Eric Stevenson, 100 Valley Stream Road. I would like to speak on the Board of Elections compensation increase that's in the budget. First, I want to be clear. I believe elections matter. I believe election workers matter. And I believe we should fund safe, secure, professional, and well-run elections in Harnett County. But that's exactly why the public deserves clear answers when compensation changes are made. From what has been reported and discussed previously, the Board of Elections chair pay went from $250 a month to $800 a month, and board member pay went from $200 a month to $700 a month. That is a significant increase. For the chair alone, that is more than triple the previous monthly amount. For the full board, that appears to move compensation from about $12,600 a year to about $43,000 a year. That's about a $30,600 increase. Now, in the big picture of a county budget, some may say that's not a large number, but to the taxpayers, the principle matters. We are in a budget year where property values have gone up. Many residents are trying to figure out whether their tax bills are going up, even if the tax rate stays the same. So when the public sees a large pay increase for an appointed board, they deserve to know how that decision was made, where it is shown in the budget, and what justification was used. My questions are simple. First, where exactly is Board of Election member compensation listed in the recommended budget? Second, is the increase from $250 to $800 for the chair and $200 to $700 for members included in FY 26-27 budget, or was it already absorbed through a previous budget amendment? Third, what written analysis was used to justify this increase? Fourth, did the full Board of Elections formally discuss and recommend this compensation increase before the commissioners approved it? Now, I know that answer. That answer is no. It was not discussed with the full board. It was not discussed with the 2 Democrat members. It was only discussed with the 3 Republican members. Fifth, how does this compensation compare to similar counties? I mentioned earlier that Cumberland County chair receives $415. I got this information in this room from the slides that was presented right here on the board. So if that information was presented right here in this room on these slides, how was it voted on to go from $250 to $800 when Cumberland County receives $415 and they are almost 2-3 times size big as we are? Finally, if we're going to increase election funding, how much is going to the frontline election workers, training, poll worker staffing, ballot on demand implementation, voter access, and election security versus board member stipends? Again, I'm not saying people should not be paid for their public service, but I am saying that during a budget hearing, every dollar should be explained. The public should not have to dig through meetings, agendas, and budget lines to understand how a pay increase like this was approved. I mentioned earlier, I put my email address on the sign-in sheet, and I'm requesting a written response after staff has had time to take a look at what I'm requesting. Please provide the public with a clear explanation of the Board of Elections pay increase, the budget line where it appears, the total annual cost, and the process used to approve it. This is not about attacking any person. This is about transparency, accountability, and trust in local government. As always, I appreciate your time. Thank you. Go Harnett County.
Anyone else wish to speak on the budget? All right, seeing no one moving, this public hearing is closed.
Chairman, if I may have a question to ask, if I can get some clarification on the bookmobile, I vaguely remember us discussing it in the past. Was there any grant allocations?
So the funding for the bookmobile came from, I think Kimberly's here, she can go through the detail, but the alcohol beverage money that was received for the from the town of Lillington was the primary funding source for that.
And federal.
Correct. Correct. So this was us in order to meet a match, is what I wanted to explain.
So the vehicle itself was funded completely by grant funding and then the alcohol beverage funding. So it was primarily a federal grant, and then we used ABC money as well. So
Our expense comes in the continued payment of the 3 staff persons that are necessary and the supplies that are necessary for that.
So that's what the extra.
That's what the extra cost in the budget is for.
I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, I appreciate the question.
Explain for the public's idea, when you say ABC funding, would you tell them, or you want me to do it?
Alcohol beverage
Yeah,
commission.
alcohol beverage control, but where you have mixed beverage sales, as the town of Lillington does, if you go to the liquor store, you pay one price. If you go to the warehouse to supply a mixed beverage establishment, there's approximately $9 more a fifth of liquor that is taxed, and those dollars are what she's talking about, makes its way over here, and management elected to put it in, or we elected to put it into the bookmobile.
But I want to say the initial thoughts of the bookmobile to start some years ago, many years ago, is simply because way back there in the early 2014, 15s or whatever, we were trying to get a library out there in the western part of the county. Not successful. So providing them, the children in that area and the adults, some books from the library without having them to travel way over here to pick out books or whatever, it was discussed a bookmobile. And when we brought it to the county commissioners, it was well received, because we seen the need for it. We are not able, especially right now with the funding the way it is, to build a library. So education is important. So that's all I gotta say. It was done in an attempt to give those people an opportunity to have a library, but it's a traveling library.
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, Trout, you're up.
Oh, yes. I wasn't sure if there was anything else. So first thing I want to do is report, the board had made a motion related to the forgiveness or the waiving of system development fees for business and industry. And so I wanted to let you know that I have done that twice now. I waived a $3,000 water system development fee and a $4,000 sewer system development fee for Brian Rayner. That was at his location at the Jetport. And then I approved a system development fee, $10,000 sewer fee, and a $3,000 water fee for Jackson Family Enterprises. Those are the two that I've done. I want to report that per the motion.
Just, if I may, Mr. Chairman, just to reiterate, because you kind of gave us the Reader's Digest version. What's happened here is in one instance, the taps were already in place. They had been put in place by the developer years ago, and the county had no expenditures there. The other one is a hangar that's being built, and the gentleman is a public utilities contractor. And again, he put it all in with his materials at no cost to the county.
Right, but the one thing to clarify, the fees are due whether they put it in or we put it in. The fees are for the long-term development of infrastructure.
Right.
Next thing I had, the First Responders Committee will have their first meeting at 6 p.m. June 17th here in the RCL. Historic Preservation and Heritage Tourism Commission will meet June 27th. This is the board that you reorganized to also include looking at historic tourism ideas that maybe we would want to consider for the future based on the presentation that Mr. Harrington made a few months ago. Update, it was mentioned something about the airport overlay local bill that was done. I was informed the local bill has been approved by the local government committee. It has been being heard by the House committee in the House legislature, and possibly will move to a full House vote later this week is what we've been told. There's a lot of bills being considered right now, so hard to say exactly whether or not it'll make it on the agenda for this week. Couple of things. some department accomplishments. On April 29th, Harnett County EMS sent a team to participate in the 9th Annual Tar Heel Trauma Pre-Hospital Skills Competition. And the team of Assistant Chief Jonathan Murphy, Paramedic Aubrey Hardison, and District Chief Morgan Landon brought home the first place trophy at that tournament. So we get some good paramedics on this crew. Our Harnett County Department of Social Services received a second place for the Excellence in Training category from the North Carolina Workforce Development Department. They created some training videos that they used for their staff, and they were recognized for their work there. In our own communications and marketing, received a second place for their video in the promotional video category of the North Carolina City and County Communications 2026 Excellence in Communications Award. Their video that they received the award was for our community paramedics program, which is very helpful as far as some of the opioid overdose things that we're doing. Next item I cover is in your packet, there is an update related to our performance management work that we're doing. 66% are in process. This is our third quarter report. 21% complete. 60, our action item as of March were 8% pending, 63% in process, and 29% complete. So a lot of work to do here in the last quarter to catch up. Last two things, I need a motion to approve budget amendments as requested by the Finance Department.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
And then a motion on approved tax rebates, refunds, and releases.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Motion is second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
That's it.
All right. Do we have any new business? Any new business at all? All right. We have a need for closed session.
Mr. Chairman, I move the board go into closed session for the following purposes: to prevent the disclosure of information that is privileged or confidential pertaining to county infrastructure securities. Motion made within the pursuant to North Carolina General Statutes.
Motion is second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. We're closed session.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion and second. All in favor, say aye.